Welcome to another episode of Pels in a Blender. It's your boy A. Davis coming here on this beautiful Monday morning. Maybe it's not so beautiful for some people, but to me, it's an exciting day. So we've been talking about this, getting ready to come up with the media day. We kind of got the pre-media day, the Joe Dumars version came in by itself, which I actually enjoyed. Because what we used to is David Griffin talk. He kind of got the GM with him. We just been kind of used to some funny business, to be honest, with the media day the last couple of weeks. It just felt refreshing, you dig? So it just felt refreshing. But before I really get into it, I just kind of want to take a second man to discuss the grub not being able to get his credentials. I really think that shit kind of whack, though, to be honest. Like I just think for somebody, who's put in work, put in time, been responsible, been fair, been respectful, and been honest, at the end of the day. You would think those kind of people are welcomed in the building and welcome, because people like Grub are the people that the fans relate to. Like, to be honest, like, fans watch some of the media day to see what kind of questions Grub's gonna ask. So for them to kind of do that to Grub, like I'm just not feeling it. I don't think that shit was cool at all. And excuse my language but it's just really upsetting that a man that's been putting some time in, putting some work in. Obviously, he writes about the team, covers the team. Um, just because y'all have a personal affiliation with somebody, I just don't think that's an okay thing to do. But again, that's their preference. You can do what you want, and that's kind of what it is. But that ain't gonna stop nothing from moving. Those dudes gonna go hard. They gonna do the work. They gonna continue to cover the team. Uh, and that's just pretty much what it is. So absolutely, Mike Morgan, appreciate you for tapping in, bro. That's exactly what we about to go ahead and discuss. From from jump, from jump, that's exactly what I noticed. Joe Dumars setting the standard. And he been saying this from the moment he got hired. Like, the one thing that, like, I kind of really want to give Gail not benefit of the doubt, but kind of give Gail a little pat on the back for, to a degree, is we didn't like how she went about hiring Joe Dumars. Nobody was a fan of, like, you ain't gonna do no interviews, you ain't gonna do none of that. But I will say it felt like, even if it was for the wrong reason, it felt like the right move. Like, now it's starting to feel like the right move. It seemed like it's bringing a level of professionalism, a level of credibility, and, like you say, setting the standard from day one. Listen, I'm coming in. I'm trying to figure out. I don't know nothing about what's going on. I know what it's like to win. I know what it takes to win. Any of that BS and people not working, people not doing their job, all of that's gone. So he wiped the front office, perfect, right? Setting new standards. Even if he bringing in his own people, that's typically what you do. And then he giving everybody, from the coaching to the players, a fresh start. Listen, everybody got to earn their keep. Everybody got to earn their keep. And that's pretty much what you're seeing from day one. So the first thing he came in and was talking about is everybody being on one accord, in my opinion. Like, one of the first things he said is, like, I wanted everybody to have, like, we needed to be, like, single-minded going into the off season and going into the season. You can, from what it is that he's been talking about, you could kind of see that that's what the plan was, and that's what's been implemented. It's like, I've been, like, he talked about, I'm a really dive into what's been going on with these injuries. And every time you hear him talk, he's been drilling. I'm with them. I talk to them every day, detail every injury, how they got injured, what they was doing when they got injured, what they was doing after the injury, like, breaking down every aspect of what was going on. That's the kind of details you need to, like, kind of prevent what was going on and holding people accountable for doing their work. So he's been on that. I need to get Zion together. I've been holding Zion accountable. Like, y'all need to come in and do and and do the work. So I think he's been doing a really good job, like you say, of setting the standard for that. So one of the biggest takeaways, one of the biggest takeaways we got, obviously, you've been seeing Trey kind of posting his clips. You seen him and Herb do the initial video, for the schedule release and everything. And Trey's been putting out videos some about like his workouts and everything. But you got the confirmation from Joe today that him and Herb been going hard the last essentially multiple weeks over the summer, over a month plus. He said several weeks to a month back they've been scrimmaging. Z, Trey, Herb, he said Queen before Queen got injured. So what that's letting me know is that the core of this team, Z, Trey, Herb, has been in the building and been putting in work. And that's exactly what you need. Like he said, I've been seeing these dudes, they doing 2 a days. They in here working on their games, they working on their bodies. Like, I don't know if that's a little crazy, but that's what you want to see from the people that you think gonna be your cornerstones. Like, I need to know from day one that not only are they healthy, we on the medical staff about how do we keep them healthy? What have they done in the past that might have got them hurt? How do we prevent all of that? Z doing what he's supposed to do. He stay locked in, tapped in, focused. And we'll go into what he was talking about with Z in a second. But him saying that Trey and Herb have been, working religiously, what that tells me is going into the season, there should be no, unless we have some kind of setbacks moving forward, there should be no reason to think that Herb and Trey can't perform to the level that we expect them to perform at when the season starts. There's no setbacks. There's no adjustment period. Y'all been working for a while. And I'm not saying that you ain't got to find your game because they haven't played a game in a while. Don't get me wrong. I understand that aspect of it. But at the same time, like Herb, like you're physically able and you've been able to put in work in the summer. I saw him fall. I haven't seen him hit the floor and all. Like they good. Meaning, hey, bro, I don't want to hear you was hurt, which is why you struggling or you ain't looking the way you supposed to. So I appreciate that. And that being one of the things looking forward to going into the off season. All right, here, let me go. Let's check my notes. Now, we've been talking also about what has Z been doing in the off season, right? Like everybody would love to see Z put out a clip of him, working or getting in the gym. And the one that he did give you, he gave you the one at UNO with Master P and what's your girl name, man? What's your girl name? That used to work for the team. Y'all know who I'm talking about. His girl that Griff let go because they was just trying to set Z straight. But that's the only video you and you ain't even get a video of him working out. You just knew that he was working out. But Joe came and confirmed today, look, they've been in the building putting that work. People, my bad, little technical difficulty. That's crazy. I'm sorry about that. Are we good? Am I good? Everybody still tapped in? Everything still working? Okay, can't wait to see. Shout out to you, Trey. Always tapping in. Appreciate you, bro. Can't wait to see Trey, Herb, Z together on the court, especially since they didn't play a game together last year. Yeah, man, that's pretty important. Like them not playing a single minute, and realistically, that's the core of your team. Like you got it. Grubb mentioned it on his show earlier. For them to not play a minute together, like your season was destined to be bad, right? So with that being the case, and Joe talked a lot about, man, listen, when we put the team together, it looked good on paper, right? It looked good on paper, but you don't know what that's like until you start getting on the court together. So what I ain't gonna lie, what I'm kind of thinking is, and this is just me, I don't have no inside sources on this or whatever, but I think what Joe is trying to do is a little different. Like how he's building his team is different than what Griffin was trying to do from this sense. I don't necessarily know if those dudes from the previous teams all like got along or like we're just the closest. Like you ain't never really see Z and BI kicking it. And it showed, like, not saying that they didn't play like in practice and stuff, but man, them dudes wasn't hanging together and just balling over the summer. Like that, those kinds of things matter. So when you hear, and I don't know if it's because now it's officially Zion's team, it's officially Trey's team to a degree, Herb's team to a degree, that they're taking, a different type of ownership. Like it's different when you got a vet like CJ who's significantly older than you. Like Joe made the point today when he was talking about Troy Weaver, when he asked him about Jordan Poole, and he was saying, man, listen, he fits the age range of what these dudes are. They all 25, 26, so they all on the same kind of time, the same kind of mindset. That's how you build chemistry. And I think you'll see that with this particular, and that's kind of when I'm talking about like the 49 wins and stuff like that. That's what I think a lot of that's coming from. Like if you saying right now that we see that Joe Dumars has been witnessing for over a month before they even start training camp, Z, Trey, Herb, Queen was getting working before he got hurt. Poole's been in the building. All Fear's been living in the building. If those dudes been putting in that kind of work this early in the season, and that's not to say that other teams haven't been putting in work, don't get me wrong, but our team is hella talented, bro. And if you add the camaraderie, like I think you absolutely can start. That's the organic building that you absolutely need. And that's what Joe mentioned. They asked him about, how can the team learn and grow, and like, do you kind of force it or do you do it organically? And he was saying you do it organically, and this is how you do it. You do it by playing. Y'all, anybody who hooped already know that. Like if you hoop with somebody every day, eventually you start, man, look, he can't shoot from this corner, he shoot from that corner. He always go left, and when he go left, he look in the dish. I need to time my cuts like this. Like all of the things that look like problems when you don't have a rhythm and playing together, everybody know that this season is very important for each one of their individual careers, and all of them are putting in the work, to try and get the results out of that. Now, another thing that Joe said that I think was very important, and I'm kind of jumping all over, so forgive if like it don't seem like it have no flow to it, but it's just the stuff that's off the top of my mind that I think was the most important. So like with those dudes, you got the core in the building constantly putting in work, right? I think you have them already setting the standard for the young people, right? Because Fear's ended up putting in work, but I see Zion I see Poole in the building, I see Trey. How I'm gonna see them in the building, and I ain't in the building. And a lot of those dudes are like personally motivated by what you say. Jeremiah Fears then already came out and said, bro, I'm trying to win Rookie of the Year, right? Well, normally in some situations, everybody been saying Jeremiah Fears might not get, the opportunities to play because in some instances, Willie has been reluctant to play some rookies. That's one thing. And to a degree, that got some credence to it for sure. But if you look, a lot of other teams don't always play rookies either. Joe Dumars didn't already let you know, and we holding him to that. All of your minutes and opportunities are going to be based on you. So if you telling me, and I'm Jeremiah Fears, and I'm Derek Queen, and I'm, Peavy, Missy, whoever it is, Hawkins, or whoever it is, right? That if I come and show what I could do, I can play 20 minutes a game, or I might have a chance to have a significant role on this team. All of those do like that breeds competition. That breeds raising the level of play. That breeds the competitiveness that we talking about. And I know I said competition, but I'm just saying, like, just thinking about it as a young player, and like you don't want, and Joe said, like specifically said it, like coming in the training camp, you don't want to kill a player's drive by saying, hey, he don't have no shot to achieve whatever it is you want to achieve. So, man, I'm telling you, when you set the standard that way, and especially if you come into every season with that lets the people know ahead, like that lets the Trey, Z, Herb, that let those players know, hey, bro, if everything is open, I got to earn my spot. I got to earn my keep. I got to show why I'm playing ahead of them. That's first. And that lets the young people know if I continue to put in this work, I could play above Jose. I could play above Hawkins. I can play above, I don't know necessarily if you playing above the DeJounte Murrays, but it just breeds a level of everybody got to fight for their spot. Everybody got to earn it. And that's the way it should be, especially when, in this season, not that everything is up for grabs, but this is exactly what we kind of thought it is. It's not an all-in season, but this is an assessment season, right? We're assessing everything. Like the coaching is being assessed. The players are being assessed. The front office was assessed, and he assessed that was trash. The medical staff. So, like, with that being the case, I think they're moving in a really good direction. The standard is being set for being competitive, being tough. We're going to compete. We're going to fight. So, with that, I kind of want to move on to some of the things that he was talking about that I also found interesting with how he was pairing the rookies with some of the vets, right? And I think that's important because you don't, like, I was wondering how, like, who, for example, how Michael Peavy was going, like who he was going to learn from, right? Like, I'm not saying that you can't be paired with Herb Jones necessarily, but I don't know if Herb Jones is the vet for Michael Peavy. Not that you can't learn from Herb. You shouldn't, try to follow Herb and learn things from Herb, but Herb is still relatively young in his career as well, right? Still trying to he's made a name, but still trying to somewhat make a name for himself. So pairing Michael Peavy with somebody like Sadiq Bey, who's been a role player, who has started at times, who like had to fight for minutes, and like I think pairing your young players with those kind of people allows your core, right? That allows Z, Trey, Herb. Y'all got to focus on being the best versions of yourself. Like, y'all do that. Like, just, and not saying that y'all can't be leaders and y'all can't help and y'all can't teach, but like, you naturally do that. But like, I'm not going to necessarily give you the responsibility of tying one of those young kids with you. The same thing with who did he say? Fears being tied to Jordan Poole. Bro, I absolutely love Jeremiah Fears being tied to Jordan Poole as opposed to, and not saying that he ain't working with DeJounte at all, but Fears' game, like, if Fears can pick up some of the Jordan Poole when we already saw the handle and, how he can create and stuff like that, like, if you can get those two players to kind of pick up speed and you have a miniature version like of Poole and Fears coming off the bench or whatever, bro, you really causing a problem. Like, you really causing problems for other teams in the league. And who was the last one? Queen with Looney. Like, and I think that's a really good one. Looney is the most veteran person on the team, like in terms of, I'm pretty sure in terms of like age and stuff like that as well. But the thing we know about Queen has a lot of the talent, right? Looney is what we know Looney for, being a great rebounder, being very disciplined, being a good screener. Like, if he's teaching those things to Derek Queen now, like, and he's grasping it and making him, keep himself in shape. It's kind of like what Miami did with Udonis Haslem. You know what I mean? Like, the little things matter when it's time to play and win games. So I love the fact that a lot of our young players are attached to those particular veterans. You know what I mean? Because like, you competing, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, like, you not working with Missy. Missy got his own stuff he needed to learn. I ain't got time to be learning the mistakes from him. When y'all get on the floor together, y'all can kind of pick that up yourselves. So like, I really like the fact that they did that. Obviously, he discussed, let's see what else he ran. I'm gonna kind of run through some of this. Oh, how could I forget the coaching? I don't know if I want to get into that yet. That's almost like a whole topic, and like, that might be a whole episode worth in his own. But like, real briefly, he said, listen, Willie been with me every day. And what I took from that is that I think Willie, now I don't know if that actually allows Willie to improve. I would imagine it does because Joe knows the game. So if I'm sitting there, like, I mentioned this previous, like when Willie Green is struggling or when Willie Green is trying to figure out what's going on, like he couldn't go to David Griffin about how to navigate some of the pitfalls and what, you know what I mean, what was going on. Like he's had some of his own mentors and stuff like that he mentioned himself, some people that can help him, but it's different, man. The same thing with Zion to a degree, having Joe in the building. Willie Green this particular season is like he respects the hell out of Joe, and he knows Joe's no nonsense. Like, listen, we got expectations and I expect you to meet them. Be setting these standards. So like Willie every day sitting and talking with Joe Dumars, he's like, listen, we watching the scrimmages. Hey, I'm pointing. Matter of fact, I wrote this down. Where is it at? Hold on. Because he said they're watching the scrimmages and he looking at him, oh, like this player, they're watching the plays. This player does this well. This player does that well. That play works well. Like certain things that I don't know if Willie was doing before, or you never heard of what Willie was doing to improve as a coach. Because in the previous media days, I've never heard anything tangible, at least, of how we would see Willie Green improve as a coach. So this was the first time I heard anything. He was like, yeah, man, you know, we talking about the game. We talking about how to improve, the kind of pace that we expect to play. Like I expect you to play hard every night. I demand them to go hard every night. And like I think he did a good job with saying not throwing out a win total. Like he said, he let them know today, listen, I want to set the standard, but he didn't set a number because I think that makes you coach. Like if he would have came out and said, hey man, the goal is the playoffs, right? Well, if that's the case, then you might not be more willing to play some of the younger players in certain situations or play different lineups in certain situations because you so focused on getting the win. And that's kind of the problem that we've been having when we've been talking about process versus results or process over results. Like, yeah, we could sometimes get the results, but the process was flawed in getting there. And it seems like Joe's trying to do his part of getting the process right, getting the very baseline right. Like, look, don't worry about the wins. If we doing the things that we supposed to do, we play together, we communicate, we play hard, you know, everybody get the opportunity. Like every night might be your night, you play the right way, then like the results are going to show. And anybody who does anything knows that, like, if you put in the work, eventually the work is going to show. And I think that's what he's trying to establish, and also giving Willie Green the confidence to say, look, you gotta, this is what I see. This is what you possibly could see. This is what you should see. So as they sitting there talking about, hey, this player does this well, this play looks like it's run well. When they get into games, I'm assuming that Joe Dumars is going to expect to see some of the things I just talked to you about every day. I'm with you every day, and we talking about this every day. Why am I not seeing it? So I think Willie's doing a good job of ingratiating himself with Joe Dumars. I think there's a level of comfort, but at the same time, somebody that possibly could bring the best out of Willie, whatever that is. If he's done, now I'll say this, not that I think that Willie Green is a great coach, but there is a world where, like, I can't just say what Willie just can't be. You know what I mean? Like, it takes some people change the sceneries and stuff like that. And though I don't think he's capable of doing this, you know, becoming a coach with a better feel for the game, better understanding the substitutions, when to call timeouts, when to leave players in, stuff like that. With Joe Dumars being around, is it possible that could be something that set Willie off in the positive direction for this season, and you see some progress? Yeah. So with that being the case, I mean, I'm coming into the season willing to give everybody an opportunity. The one thing I do know about Willie, and I do not think Willie Green is a great coach by any stretch of the imagination. By any stretch of the imagination. Whoa, what's good, bro? Well, not cool, pal. There we go. Now, I don't think Willie is a great coach by any means, by any stretch of the imagination. But Willie has won 49 games. Willie has won 40-some games. So, like, he's shown, even being inept and dealing with the injuries, that he has been able to win games and get you to the playoffs. So if he can put any kind of consistency and any kind of positivity to that, then it's possible you're gonna see some you're gonna see some growth from Willie, I guess. I don't know if that's crazy either. That sound a bit wild. You know what else I liked? They was talking about, he mentioned Jeremiah Fizz and how hard he was working, man. The dude was coming in doing his 2-a-days, doing his workouts in the morning, and then getting his shooting work at night, working so hard that they had to tell him to take a break. That's the kind of stuff that you want to see. A dude that was picked number 7, said he had goals, and was putting in that work to go try and do it. Like that's all you want. And if you see that from your young players, again, man, it sets the table for your big players, for your stars. Your stars have to rise and shine if your young players are putting in that kind of effort. They were talking about, what else did Joe mention? Joe mentioned playing with the depth and how they want to play 10 to 12 players a night. I'm not really sure if, I know they said that's what they wanted to do. I'm interested to see how they plan on implementing that. Like, do they plan on doing like full hockey swaps? You swapping out 5s? I don't necessarily know if it's gonna go that way. Like, you might see some of that in the preseason. But I wonder how they're gonna go about playing 10 to 12 guys. Like, you could do it to a degree. You could do it to a degree in the regular season, but at the same time, man, that's really challenging, because if you're constantly taking people out, how do you get in some kind of rhythm? Like, you have to have some kind of set rotation to a degree. And playing 12 people is a lot. That's a lot of breaking up the minutes and stuff like that. So I'm just very interested to see how they're gonna go about doing the 10 to 12 players, and how they actually gonna try to implement that. So, like, if you count it out, well, I guess, so you have Z, Trey, Herb, Poole, Missy, Looney's gonna play, Sadiq Bey's gonna play. You gotta have another big. So I think Carlo's gonna play. Queen, when he comes back, will play. Did I say Sadiq Bey? DeJounte, when he comes back, will play. So I guess that's 10. And then you can see if you can fit in Fizz or Jose. So yeah, I guess that's 10 to 12. I ain't even mentioned Hawkins. So, like, I guess you could see, you could work it out depending on how things work. Another thing that I thought was very interesting that a lot of people might miss, and I kind of brought this up when Joe was when Troy Weaver approached Joe with bringing in Jordan Poole. So he brings in Jordan Poole, was like, yeah, bro, they fit the age range. They fit the age range for the core that we already have. And then he said, and I don't know if people caught this, but he said, yeah, we could see them growing together for the next 5 years. 5 years. So, like, I understand when you bring somebody in, like, you're planning for the future. But like, if you saying that you could bring Jordan Poole in and mention having him for the next 5 years, that must mean Jordan Poole looking at some kind of extension in the offseason, not this offseason, but next offseason. And I'm not saying we can't pivot from that, or that's not just him talking, but when he throw out Jordan Poole being here for the next, they can grow together for the next 5 years, I don't know exactly what core he's mentioning with that. Like, and if that's why you got him mentoring, Jeremiah Fears. Like, are you looking at potentially the backcourt of Jordan Poole and Jeremiah Fears? I don't know. Like, I don't know how that works necessarily. I know at some point they intend on Jeremiah Fears being a starting point guard. I would imagine if you drafted him at 7 and with the kind of work he's putting in, and if you saying Jordan Poole's gonna be here for the next 5 years, like, I'm not saying he can't be a 6-man, but that dude, like you say, he's 26. He ain't trying to come off no bench, bro. Jordan Poole don't appear to me to want to live in the Jordan Clarkson mode. I think Jordan Poole, with the kind of work they say he puts in, I think that dude believe that he can be a quality starter, borderline star, part of the big three, like we expecting them to kind of be this season. So I thought that was very interesting that he would mention being able to have the core grow together for the next 5 years. I don't know if that's something that might have been slept on, or if that's something that they're gonna mention, that they gonna mention like in the media day tomorrow or anything like that. But man, I thought that was very interesting. Also when he was talking about like the coach and stuff again, pace of play, everybody been saying, how is this team gonna play? He was like, at no point in time we should be playing half speed or slow. At no point in time we should be playing half speed. So I took that as, hey, bro, I'm gonna make your coaching job a lot easier. We gonna run. I feel like they're gonna play like a pressure style defense. He ain't saying anything defensively, but I think that's where you get them talking about the 10 to 12 players. We gonna run your asses into the ground, and then we gonna swap out and keep a fresh body. Like Joe coming in like Coach Carter, essentially. What we doing practice? Run. What you think I want you to do? Run. So I expect the Pelicans to be one of the faster paced teams, and I think that's kind of what works well for the kind of roster that we have. So if that's going to be the case, then I think they own to something. To be honest, I think they own to something. He talked about how all of the players come to him, how Trey was, talking to him a good little bit about his own personal goals and how to become great, and telling Zion, look, your ass talented as hell, but bro, talent ain't enough. You gotta show up. You gotta do your part. You gotta do your job. It takes more than just being a talented player to be a great player. That's not how that works. So I think putting the accountability on the players, and I also think him, and again, shout out to Propels and the other people that thought about this and mentioned that Joe Dumars doing his press conference the day before allowed everybody to say, oh yeah, we see it, or yeah, we know Joe like that. So like anytime you get a question about whatever Joe Dumars has said or done, or like if he referenced you at all, everybody should be able to say, oh yeah, they should be able to confirm everything that Joe Dumars has said. So if somebody were to ask Trey, yeah, Joe Dumars said that you came to him about some of your personal goals. What are those goals? And Trey ain't been shy talking about he won't, be an all-star and all NBA and all of that. But them being on the same page and Joe being like, say, bro, we ain't here to hold you back. Go be as great as you can be. Like, those are the kind of things that you wanna have. He also confirmed, and me and shout out to Chaz. Me and Chaz did the show about this. The trade don't matter. This season is not an all-in season, to the point where, like he said, when he told them, I'm not saying you have to get to a certain number in the win. And when they actually asked him about the trade, no, we didn't make the trade and thinking about this particular season and what it has like, oh, we have to do this because of the trade. No, he didn't say like that's not what happened. So like the benefit of that is that everybody coming in like he really felt like he was doing his best to make the team better, make the team deeper. Cool. And all of these dudes gonna get an opportunity to come in and play without the added pressure of, hey, we have to do this. Like, yes, you want to be successful and you have to do that, but it's like, man, you have to try to go above and beyond yourself because you're trying to reach some expectation that your team might not necessarily be prepared to do. I have a standard set that y'all gonna play a certain way, we gonna work a certain kind of way, and then everything is gonna fall in line. With that being the case, you should be able to see some wins on the other side of that. So I like it. I like it because it keeps you focused on the present. You don't come in and say, hey man, we got to make the playoffs, because you know shit happen. Like if Zion go down, or let's not even say Zion go down, if somebody get hurt, then that changes what your goals are, what your expectations are for the number that you're trying to reach. And that's similar to what happened last season. Yeah, we came in thinking this team was going to be, a playoff team, compete for a top 6 seed and everything last season. But once all of your players go down, obviously that goes out the window. So I think he's kind of hedging his bets to a degree and protecting himself and saying, look, everybody that step foot on the floor, this is what we want you to do, and we'll worry about that later. That's going to take care of itself. So that's cool. I'm not gonna keep y'all too long. I'm trying to see, because I literally took notes on the press conference. I done watched it a couple times. What do we think is more important? He talked about don't put a player. Oh, so he talked about Joe. Everybody know that Joe is more of a old school, an old school player, right? And they were asking about the medical staff and the injuries, and with you being old school, that players played through more injuries back in the day. And the Pelicans have had this whole process, like a player get hurt and then sometimes he'll be 2 weeks away from being 2 weeks away, and they were like, hey, are we still gonna live by that philosophy? Are we getting away from that? Kind of like what's going on with the injury aspect and people coming back and playing. And this is important because there have been plenty of times, there have been multiple seasons where Zion has been hurt and came back and be like, bro, I can go, or I want to play, but I'm doing what the Pelicans say, and have not been able to be on the floor. Jordan come out and say, look, sometimes, we gonna be careful, because if a guy can't go, or if he don't have the mental to go at 75%, because he was giving an example of some guys, even if they're not 100%, that they can't perform regardless. So if that's the case, then we're not going to throw them out there because they're hurting the team. Well, some people can perform at 75%. And if they could get out there and they want to go, we're going to let them go. Like, I think that bodes well for the team to a degree, because there is the element of protecting a player from himself, but there also is that element of, say, dog, you got to go out. Like, you might be a little banged up, but you could hurt. You could go play. Like, you could give us 15. You could give us a solid 20. I'm of the mindset that if Zion was able to give you 20 minutes in the Phoenix Suns series some years ago, you might have been able to push it to 7 games. You might have actually won that series. So I don't know. With that being said, I think that mindset works for this particular team, because they're not going to handle them with kid gloves. You know what I mean? These dudes grown men at the end of the day. They have a right to be able to decide whether they want to play or not. And I'm not saying that there's been times in the past where, you might have been able to go and decided not to go. I'm not saying that's the case, but I don't know if you want to try that with Joe Dumars being the guy up top. You My bad, people. Man, I don't know what's going on here. Man, I'm trying to get we having the internet, we losing connection out here. With that being the case, we're gonna go ahead and get this last little thing in that I kind of wanna discuss. And I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here because I don't know what's going on. I don't know why all of a sudden I'm having the issues. But um Joe talked about they were talking about leadership and how do the leadership work. And he was saying the leadership must be natural. That's what he said. Whoever's a leader must be like a natural leader. It just happens. You can't say, oh, this guy's a leader, this guy's not a leader. And then the names that he mentioned as leaders were Poole, Herb, Trey, Looney, Murray. He did not mention Zion when he said the guy's a leader. Now, I was watching Full Five podcast earlier. That's Jeff Teague them. And Teague was saying on our Milwaukee teams, Giannis was never the leader. Like, he's the best player, but he's not necessarily the leader. So with that being said, like, you can still have your best player be your best player and he not necessarily be the leader of your team, and that's okay. I don't want anybody to over criticize, like, if they didn't mention Zion as being the leaders, because, like, bro, I don't care if you're the leader or not. You need to go lead by example, and you need to take your ass out there and perform. Like, go out there, do your job, set an example. Like, it took Kobe a long time before he became a leader, like before he became a quality leader at least. So, like, I don't want the leadership thing and Zion's name not being mentioned and Trey Murphy's name being mentioned, or Herb's name being mentioned, as like for people to look at it as a negative. What it shows me is that the team is taking a lot of ownership, and to me, Zion is doing what he needs to do. Like, I think he just laser focused on keeping his shit together. And they are building and bonding and doing all of that stuff anyway, which they already mentioned. So with that being the case, man, I'm not gonna hold for too much longer, especially because I got the Wi-Fi stuff going on. But man, appreciate everybody for tuning in, tapping in. I'm obviously we gonna have another episode, if not tomorrow, probably Wednesday, about the Pels Media Day is tomorrow. So absolutely locking in for that one, and we'll assess that as we get ready to roll into training camp. These dudes getting ready to start practice. They got preseason around the corner. All of that's gonna be really exciting. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I hope everybody else kind of still feeling positive. I think Joe setting the standard, establishing the culture, just like he said, the almost like one band, one sound. You heard me? Like he in there coming in. If you ain't focused, and the same thing with Griff. Griff came in early, said either you in or you out. But I don't feel like Griff stood on business on if you in or you out. Like Jordan said it multiple times. If you don't want to be here, no, let me know politely, and we'll find you somewhere that you want to be. So if you say you want to be here, this is how we doing it. A lot of people have been talking trash about our team. A lot of people have been giving us some negative negative reviews and everything. But I think things are set up to where you'll see progress this season, and I think that's going to show in the results. So appreciate y'all, everybody, for tapping in, man. Like, subscribe, share the page. Pels in the blender. It's your boy A. Davis. Y'all be safe. Everybody look out for each other, man. Love. Peace.